Sunshine, Wild Ones. It's Bernadette. I am here with your Pick a Card Daily Tarot reading for Wednesday, October 28th, 2020. And I kind of feel a little bit guilty for being all perky and smiling, just because just because today's card is such a reverent card. It is the Snow Leopard as the Hermit. And listen, the energies of right now are kooky. We are just a couple of days away from the second full moon of the month, and it's on Halloween when the veil everywhere is at its thinnest. There is a day that shall not be mentioned looming in front of us. There's just like all this mysterious stuff going on behind the scenes, magical mystery energy swirling around. And honestly, I would have thought that the animal allies would have lightened it up a little bit for us. And again, the hermit doesn't have to be so very heavy, but what it is profound. Here's what I mean by that. So Wednesday is the day that connects the first part of the week to the second part of the week, right? And its ruling chakra is the solar plexus. That's right below your rib cage. Its color is yellow. It's all about creativity, and the ruling planet is Mercury. And Mercury was the messenger of the heavens, right? Brought the divine and the mortal world together. So when you take a look at the snow leopard as the hermit, well, the first thing to know about the hermit card is that it's the number 9. And in numerology, the number 9 is about something nearing completion, which of course October is. It's nearing completion. Our year is starting to go, near completion. And in the tarot, the 9 also signifies kind of like that first energetic cycle, manifesting that you've got visible results. You've started on your hero's journey. Here's the first visible result that you have, and that is about your inner wisdom. That's about really going deep, taking a look inside your spiritual progress. And I read from my own deck, the Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck, which is based on the Rider Waite, and then of course, puts all of the great animal, spirit, totem, and power animal energy and medicine and teachings with it. The readings can go healings can go so unbelievably deep and be so unbelievably accurate. And so I there's a subtlety to this card actually being on a Wednesday, which is bridging the gap. It's the beginning, it's moving towards the end, it's the divine, it's the mortal. And so rather than being like super serious, I would really urge you guys that are watching this daily reading today, this daily tarot reading, I would urge you to consider what you're being called for by having this card show up at this moment in your life on the day that it's showing up, with the planet being what it is, with the card meaning what it means, with the spirit animal meaning what it means, because it could be a little easy to miss the undercurrents. What I mean by that is this. So there's a paradox of kinds when we start out on a spiritual journey. A lot of us find that when we start to go through a spiritual awakening, friendships start to go by the wayside, relationships start to change, and you may feel like you want to turn away from some people and be a little isolated. That's a hermit. And I get that. And what you're really trying to get to is the best version of yourself, the highest peak of human experience. And you're really trying to go about it in a purely spiritual way, which means whatever that is going to mean for you. If you take a look at the card, you see that the gray cloak that the hermit is traveling in, it sets him apart from the rest of the world, but he hasn't left the world behind completely. Inside, you're still a living, breathing being in this reality and in this world. And how that harkens to the snow leopard is they're often called the ghost cats of the mountains, or ghost cats, because you almost never see them. They live in isolation, they live by themselves. Um, it could easily be said that they're the most spiritual, animals roaming around out there, just because they're so self-contained, really, and they just, they do their thing. They want you to do your thing, and never the twain shall meet if it was up to them. So there's a correlation there also with that big cat energy, because big cat energy, no matter what the cat, a lion, a tiger, a snow leopard, a black panther, a puma, a mountain lion, cougar, cheetah, they're all about the nighttime. They're all about that real feminine kind of intuition. They're all about balance, speed when they want to move on speed. But my gosh, cats have such amazing balance. And again, that goes back to this reading has so much depth to it, but it's not intended to be like depressing or overwhelming or a downer. It's just if you drink fine wines, if you eat fine desserts, if some, or really just really good food or music, and you start to hear, you start to taste all the flavors of the wine and all the flavors of the food, and you start to hear things in the music. You'll hear the percussion that you never heard before. You'll hear the bass, um, the wind instruments in a way that you never heard them before. That's really what the Hermit card is all about. But it's about the threshold between the human experience and pure spirituality. And as you see the hermit standing there, the light inside of the lantern is yellow, and that symbolizes intellect, which of course matches right to the solar plexus chakra. Now, the reason I'm like, yes, of course, yellow matches the solar plexus chakra, which has everything to do with illumination and psychic things. And you're like, what? What? Because we're taught from a very early time that psychic things are here in our third eye chakra and our crown chakra, and that's not always true. What they're, in Eastern cultures, they think it comes to the liver or the kidneys, one of the two, liver or kidneys. I was like, well, that's really interesting. But what they're finding now is that the amount of neurons and nerve endings in your gut are like 5 gajillion times what they are in your brain or anywhere near your pineal, or anything in that area up in there that's supposed to make you super spidey sense sensitive. That's why people always talk about their gut feelings, is the nerve endings in your solar plexus in your gut are probably feeling things way, way, way before your third eye ever does. And it's zipping it up that line, which people are now talking about maybe being the golden thread that runs through your body. And there's oh my gosh, I've forgotten it. I'll try to remember it, you guys. Um, it's a line that goes up your spine, and it's now thought that that is a super information highway, and that's kind of a new thing in medicine, right? So when you talk about, I've got hypothalamus on my brain. It's not the hypothalamus. I'll think of it. When you think about threads that run through things or threads that connect things together, that's why the snow leopard as the hermit is such a profound card for this Wednesday. What all of this means, what all of this means for you is this: whatever you are going through spiritually, whatever you are wanting to go through spiritually, psychically, um, now's a good time to do it. Now's a good time to take a little time off from other people, retreat just a little bit, because I don't think you're quite expecting, when you come out of that time, that meditation time, when you come out of that learning time of your own, mm, will, um, now it's time to make the learning that you've done, the thinking that you've done, now's the time for you to practically apply it to your life or to other people's lives. Because the hermit, when he emerges, it is all about teaching. It's all about, you've mastered something. Now it's your time to show the way to other people, to illuminate the world for them, to illuminate If you take a look at the six-pointed star, that a lot of people well, you can see it in this vaguely, you can see it in the traditional Rider-Waite card. That's the wisdom of Solomon. And it's going to be about sharing that wisdom. So somehow you're going to end up teaching and you're going to be great at it and you're going to absolutely love it. Now, to tie the snow leopard in a little bit more to all of this, again, we've talked about how they're way up in the mountains and they're ghost cats, and they teach us so much about self-reliance and restraint. They teach us about how very careful we have to be in our choices because, listen, snow's pretty slippery and they're at the very tippy toppy of those mountains in Nepal and the Himalayas and whatever, and one wrong step and they're tumbling down the mountain. We don't want that. We do not want to be tumbling down the mountain. But the snow leopard never really loses its way. And it's kind of a call for you to embrace faith over fear. Now, not blind faith, obviously, but whatever you might fear about the spiritual journey, because you read a lot of stuff online, the 5 most dangerous things about a spiritual awakening, blah, whatever. Um, your spiritual awakening can be what you want it to be and what you don't want it to be. It's always your choice, right? So, whatever you might be maybe trepidatious about, call on snow leopard. You don't have to be. There's something very discriminating about this cat, and one of those things I think is this. A hermit definitely calls for you to take a silent retreat. That could be 15 minutes of silence, y'all. And don't go tell somebody Bernadette told you to go on a month, no talking meditation retreat. She did not. What she said was that snow leopard teaches us, just like hermit teaches us, to sit in silence and that whole go within thing. Snow leopards are the only big cat that can't roar. And they make all kinds of other noises, but they cannot roar. They just can't. I don't know why. They just can't. So now is not the time for you to roar. Now is the time for you to figure out other methods of communication, other sounds, other signs, other whatevers. And the something that I will share with you is the strongest form of communication that anyone has available to them is complete, total, and utter silence. Be in the middle of a fuss one time with somebody and just go dead silent. Their eyes start to avert. They don't know what to do. They start moving around. Let somebody be screaming and yelling and blah, 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 blah. What good does it do to try to outroar them? It doesn't. That is not going to be helpful one bit. I actually was taught this. My mom, later in her life, all she ever wanted to be was a detective. And when we were kids, there was a big drug problem in Miami, where I was born and where we lived until I was like 4.5. And she wanted to get in on and be a drug detective. And my dad said, "You've got 2 children. Are you crazy? If you do that, I'm going to have you declared an unfit mother." I mean, he wasn't kidding. It was this big story in my family. So, of course, my mom never became a detective. So she was a physical therapist for many years. And then when she hit 49, she was like, I can't, I'm too old to be a detective, but I certainly can work for the sheriff's department. So my mom went through police academy at 50 years old, no joke. And I don't even remember, I was at something at the sheriff's department with her one time, and they were doing this kind of class, and I was able to sit in on it. And they were doing a thing about domestic violence. And one of the officers, the teaching officer, was demonstrating how to bust up a domestic violence dispute so fast it made your head spin. And it made such a lasting impression on me because, of course, they had 2 officers just going at each other. And of course, the other officers that came in and tried to bust it up, they tried to bust it up physically. They tried to out yell them. They tried to scare them. They tried to whatever. And and so the teacher, got these people started again, and they were going at it as actors, so to speak. And he walks in and he looks around and he picks up an Enquirer or whatever trash rag it was at the time, and he sat on the couch flipped that paper open, started reading. He turned the paper, and these people are going, and it didn't take very long for the officers who were playing the domestic violence partners to be looking at him like, well, when is he going to start? And eventually they ran out of steam because they got more interested in what he was doing in complete silence than all the rest of the officers or what they were trying to do. And then he stood up and he cracked a joke, and that was it. He had them both in handcuffs in no time flat. So that has always been a big lesson to me, and I feel like at this moment that because snow leopards can't roar, and because of all of the other symbolism going on around this, that it's time for you to just sit in silence for a bit, consider what you want to happen in your spiritual life. And you may be hearing this because you may have really been being called. Like I need to breathe very deeply because I feel like a lot of you that are listening to this right now have been called to walk a shamanic path. And that's definitely starting to adopt a snow leopard as your totem. And then for those of you that are really feeling like there's something out there in the swirling blizzard that you can't quite see, but you know you want to move toward, then that's the time now to unite yourself with snow leopard as your power animal, is to be able to play that true detective, but be able to be quiet enough to see what's really there and consider it in silence. So I hope that was helpful. I thank you guys so much for tuning into these videos every day. It's the honor is all mine to be able to do them for you. I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Arc Animal Tarot and Oracle deck, and even in silence, you can what? You can stay wild.